Adventures. It's me, your best buddy, Uncle Ben.
And me, your second best buddy, Hollywood Steve.
And today we're going to be reviewing the immortal classic, Gremlins.
Grobblarbs.
Gormlern.
Geemgoms.
Garbins?
Knee-high mischief? Gremlins is a holiday horror movie about a deadbeat dad who foists a new pet onto his child. And chaos ensues.
And cuteness. So see, first things first, let's get into the bones of this flick and talk about the production and so on.
Roll them bones. Gremlins was directed by Dante, who you'll know from Piranha or Howling.
Oh.
Yeah. Gremlins is produced by Steven Spielberg, and early on they thought of having a young Tim Burton come in and direct Gremlins. But they decided, since he had only done Frankenweenie, that they wanted to go with someone with a little bit more experience. So they went with Dante.
Personally, I think the choice to work with Tim Burton really would have made an interesting flick, considering this movie has that kind of sappy sweet but dark comedic feel. You'd have had Stripe in a little bondage suit. Lots of curly-Q things.
Oh yeah.
And you can definitely tell that this movie comes from the big Hollywood Steven Spielberg kind of pedigree, because it's covered in Easter eggs. The entire set of the town is the exact same set that Back to the Future was staged on.
Yeah, it also has a matte painting behind it, meant to represent the town from It's a Wonderful Life.
Ah, that's right. And even in the town there, you've got like a movie theater that on display has Now Showing a Boy's Life, which was like the working title of E.T.
E.T., yeah.
Yeah, so it's covered in references to other flicks. The blood of any movie is the strength of its acting and writing. Let's talk about that blood.
My blood hurts.
So the original script of this movie was written by one Chris Columbus.
After sailing the ocean blue and before directing Harry Potter.
And it was originally a whole lot darker, which I find kind of surprising because the movie itself is pretty dark, but there was a lot of changes that they made to make it a lot more palatable and light for the audience.
Originally there was no Gizmo Stripe difference. Gizmo became Stripe. There was no cute Mogwai after they became the Gremlins.
Yeah, the cute, lovable thing became the awful, slimy, disgusting thing.
Yeah, and there were a lot more gruesome deaths, and even the mother was supposed to die.
The dog died!
The dog was supposed to die.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it didn't, because that is probably my least favorite horror trope.
They're always killing that dog!
Yeah.
As far as the cast goes, our main protagonist is a young Jerry Seinfeld. Because he really does.
He looks so much like him.
What's the deal with these gremlins? I can't feed them after midnight.
What's the deal with how I was once Zach Galligan?
He's not very good. He's not a great actor. He's pretty wooden, but he's offset by the wonderful
Phoebe Cates. Love Phoebe Cates. Now, this is interesting. Normally in Hollywood, they'll get their leading man and then they'll find an actress who has some sort of chemistry with him.
Right.
But in this case, they wanted Phoebe Cates in the movie so bad that they went for an actor that had good chemistry with her. Zach Galligan would go on to have a successful career. He's still working to this day. He's been in tons and tons of stuff, but this is early on in his career, so yeah, he's a little wooden. He doesn't have the chops that you would expect, but he does legitimately have good chemistry with Phoebe Cates.
I'm confused about what his age is supposed to be in the movie because, like, he still lives at home, but he has, like, a nice job working at a bank, but he's still like, hey Dad, thanks for the new pet. Can I pick it up? It's like, how old are you exactly?
He also hangs out with a young Corey Feldman in one of his first big roles.
What is going on with that?
Originally, he was supposed to be much younger. So, they didn't change much about him, but they did give him a job at least. So that's nice.
Some of the other loose ends that are in the movie, apparently the original cut was much longer and we got a whole lot more of, is it Judge Reinhold?
Judge Reinhold, yeah.
We got a lot more of his character, as well as the very Scrooge-like lady that comes into the bank that wants to murder our main character's dog and stuff.
Yeah, Miss Deagle.
Yeah, Miss Deagle. There's kind of a lot of loose ends of storylines that were just kind of set up but not really followed through in the final version of the movie. So
I was surprised that Judge Reinhold's character wasn't followed up. I would have expected him to get killed. He had a villainous vibe. I would expect to have a scene where the Gremlins have him cornered and he tries to offer them money or something and then gets killed.
Yeah. It's interesting because the cuteness of all the monsters and stuff really distracts you from the fact that there's kind of a lot of loose plot ends in this movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't get tied up, but it's still
so enjoyable.
It's so enjoyable and such a great ending, so fun.
Yeah.
Stripe versus Gizmo, it's great. I like it.
Now Steve, at the very core of every great horror flick, you've got some great special effects, and gore and stuff like that. So I really want to spend some time here talking about the guts of this movie.
Let's get all up in them guts.
Now, because of the time period that this movie was made in, it is of course not plagued by horrible, shitty CGI.
Yeah.
It's all practical stuff. You've got some really great miniatures, some great animatronics and stuff like that in there. Like
even a stop motion scene.
Yeah, that scene doesn't...
That one doesn't actually hold up, which is strange.
Great. Yeah. It doesn't look great. But you know, this is one of those flicks where they had specific armatures made that were much more articulated and had many more facial movements and stuff for the close-up shots. And then for the long, far away distant shots, they had ones that were made that were a little bit more simple. And they look awesome.
They do, they look great.
But you know, apparently it wasn't all fun and games with these things. The Gizmo puppet apparently broke like a million times while they were trying to film this thing. And the makers of the movie got super frustrated with that and were always trying to find ways to take out their anger on it. So even those scenes where you see him like the Gremlins throwing the darts at Gizmo.
Yeah, with him on the dartboard.
Yeah, that was just the filmmakers being like, fuck this puppet. This thing sucks. It's all the time breaking.
We don't really see any human kills in this movie. Now we assume some people die.
Right.
But strangely enough, we don't see that type of gore. I think they wanted to keep it slightly kid-friendly. And in the 80s, in the 80s, kid-friendly, of course, meant you can watch a thing explode in a microwave or get blended in a blender, but no blood.
Yeah, or hear about people opening up their wrists at Christmas.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or dad breaking his neck and dying in a Santa suit and rotting in the chimney.
Yeah.
But don't show no blood.
No blood.
But there are some pretty great gremlin deaths, in particular the kitchen scene where the mom just goes full long kiss goodnight and remembers that she's actually a stone cold murderer. She like shanks that one with a knife.
And throws it into a blender thing that shoots its green blood everywhere.
Puts the one in the microwave and its like head explodes and stuff.
By the way, that scene, real gross. They had to like tone it down. They had to do it a second time. It was even more gross the first time. I can't imagine how.
I want to see that. And you got some cool stuff later on at the end of the movie whenever Stripe like comes up out of the fountain and he's like all skeletonized and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Like the minimal gore that's in the movie is actually really well done and appropriately just gross and gooey and squishy and nasty. It's the kind of gore you want to see when you're like a kid in the 80s.
Yeah, or around Christmas.
Christmas gore.
Christmas gore.
Yeah.
A particularly brutal movie theater scene will remind you of a particularly brutal scene in a Quentin Tarantino movie, Inglourious Basterds. When Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates lock a bunch of gremlins into a movie theater and catch it on fire.
They do that. They do that as though they were a bunch of Nazis. One of my favorite scenes in the movie too, as far as special effects go, is the bar scene when you get to just see how hedonistic the gremlins are. They're smoking cigarettes and they're drinking beer. Why is she serving them beers?
Yeah, first off, she's not even getting paid to work there, as Judge Reinhold pointed out.
Yeah.
But at this point, there are no other humans in the bar, and she is just serving like 50 gremlins. Who, one of them smoking like 4 cigarettes at once, and like several are just shoving beer at their face. Like, what is her reason for being there?
And why didn't the beer make them multiply?
That's
if you can't get them wet, the last time I checked, beer is pretty damp.
It is pretty damp, yeah.
Should have been multiplying all over that damn place.
That's true.
Then you got the little flasher one wearing his little trench coat.
Then like, what is he flashing? Like, all the other ones are naked. What is he flashing?
Yeah, they are all naked.
Yeah.
What? What's the point of that? He's like, hey, here's this thing that everybody else is already showing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I got a flat
I got nothing there. It's just flat down there. I'm a Ken doll, a Ken gremlin.
How did he get that little trench coat?
How did the one get the Flashdance outfit?
They have a little tiny arcade machine. Where's all this stuff coming from?
Well, that's a very Looney Tunes scene, and it's like they're all Bugs Bunny in that scene.
Yeah.
They all just have infinite access to whatever they need for the premise of the joke.
Just giving into their vices and having a great time. So overall, my final thoughts about this movie, you know, this came out in 1984, which was the year that I was born. So obviously I didn't see it whenever it came out. I remember being a really young kid and being absolutely mortified whenever the ads for Gremlins 2 would run. So I didn't see the original or Gremlins 2 at all during my childhood because I was just scared shitless of them. I think I was probably in my late teens whenever I saw this for the very first time. And I gotta say, it's a really fun watch.
It is.
It really, really is. I mean, obviously it's not a perfect movie or anything like that. There's a lot of just silly inconsistencies and stuff like that we could point out. But you know, it's got some funny stuff, it's got some dark stuff, because you know, the holidays are a very dark time for a lot of people. You know, it's not all holly jolly for everybody and stuff.
That's true.
So I like that this movie has that element of darkness to it. It's got some great special effects. The soundtrack is freaking awesome.
It is.
The soundtrack is wonderful. There's kind of the main Gremlins theme, and then there's all these little variations on it that pop up through the course of the movie. Very, very, very well done. It's got that Spielbergian magic to it. It's a lot of fun. There's really no reason not to watch this movie. I think on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm gonna toss this thing a solid 4.
You know, in the end, Ben, this movie to me, it holds a special place in my heart. I remember watching it as a child. I agree with you. Watching it as an adult, I think it still holds up.
Yeah.
I like the practical effects. I like the puppets. I think that the story is appropriately dark for this time of year, because you know, Ben, some people are at home opening presents. Others are at home opening their wrists.
What's dark, guys?
That's from the movie. It's a really dark movie, but a lot of 80s kids movies were really dark.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of stuff that was definitely marketed towards a younger audience that was still pretty damn dark. Like if you look at like Legend and Labyrinth and stuff like that, like, or Never Ending Story, my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of those kids movies were way darker than the stuff that you think of nowadays when you think about movies that are marketed for children. And
plus this movie has a lot more depth than you might think, and in fact, if you want to hear about that, check out our podcast, Gremlins episode 87. Why, it just came out yesterday.
it's brand spanking new.
What?
We put water on it and it spawned this YouTube video.
That's true.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't go crazy and kill us. If I'm gonna score this, I'm gonna give it, Ben, a 4.5.
4.5.
On average, the Dead and Lovely score is a 4.25 out of 5.
You heard it here first. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to go and watch this beloved holiday classic in your home with your family and little gremlins of your own. Be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content coming at you all the dang time. You want to hear about it as soon as it's fresh. Everybody on the block's going to be talking about it. You're going to be left alone in the dark if you don't ring the bell. Hit that thing.
Catch us on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Dead Lovely Pod. We have a Facebook group, Dead and Lovely Horror Podcast. Oh, and guess what? You can email us at deadandlovelypod@gmail.com.
Yes, indeed. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you guys think about Gremlins from 1984. I know that we love it. Hope you guys are having a safe and wonderful holiday season. We'll be seeing you guys real soon.
Merry Christmas!
I wish I had something to be offended about.
You do? Oh, Ben, you've got things to be offended about.
So hard to be a white man.